In 1689, the Maratha Empire was staring at total collapse. Their capital, Raigad, had fallen. Their king, Sambhaji Maharaj, was dead. To the Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb, the decades-long war was finally over. He had won. But there was one surviving heir to the throne, Rajaram Maharaj. He knew that staying in his home state of Maharashtra meant certain capture. If he fell, the entire Maratha lineage would die with him. Rajaram and his most loyal commanders disguised themselves and slipped past the Mughal patrols. They trekked thousands of kilometers south, moving through dense, enemy-infested jungles until they reached the deep southern tip of India, a highly secure Maratha outpost known as Gingee. When Aurangzeb realized his prize had slipped away, he was furious. He immediately deployed his ruthless commander, Zulfikar Khan, along with a massive, heavily armed Mughal force to crush Gingee and capture Rajaram. Zulfikar Khan marched south expecting a standard rapid siege. Instead, he was walking his army into one of the most meticulously designed, resource-draining traps in medieval Indian history. Upon arrival, the Mughal army faced a trigon of defense, a defensive system integrated so deeply into the natural rock that traditional siege tactics were immediately rendered obsolete. The layout was dominated by three massive rocky peaks, Rajagiri, Krishnagiri, and Chandrayandurg. To make matters worse for the attackers, a towering 20-kilometer-long stone wall connected all three peaks into a single, unified megastructure, surrounded entirely by a deep defensive moat. Aurangzeb's heavy artillery was designed to batter down flat stone walls, but those cannons were physically useless against these sheer, towering rock faces. The Mughal commanders had no choice but to settle into their camps and wait for the Marathas to starve. Gingee's geography acted as a perfect anvil. It locked a massive, expensive Mughal army into a single stationary location, forcing them into a passive waiting game. While the Mughals sat waiting outside the walls, Maratha generals Sambhaji Maharaj and Tanaji Jadhav unleashed a counteroffensive in the open plains. They deployed highly mobile cavalry units that favored raw speed and agility over heavy armor. This tactical map reveals what happened next. The Mughals had surrounded the fort in the center, but the Maratha cavalry completely encircled the besiegers from the outside. They severed the Mughal supply lines and cut off all communication back to Delhi. As the Mughal camps slowly began to starve, King Rajaram was safely inside the fort, operating a parallel government. He began issuing sanads, official letters granting land rights to Maratha warlords. These letters legally authorized independent fighters to attack Mughal territories, extract wealth, and keep the land for themselves. It created a highly motivated swarm of attackers, eager to pick apart the weakened empire. Trapped between the fortress walls and the Maratha cavalry, the Mughal camp descended into chaos. Starvation and disease ran rampant. Paranoia reached such extreme levels that Zulfikar Khan was forced to arrest his own royal commander, Aurangzeb's son, Prince Bakhsh, under suspicion of mutiny. The wealthiest, most heavily armed military in the world was now trapped by its own siege. To save his men from complete annihilation, Zulfikar Khan had to beg the Marathas for a temporary peace just to safely retreat and regroup. It took 9 agonizing years, but in January 1698, the refreshed Mughal forces finally broke through Gengee's outer defenses. Zulfikar Khan prepared to finally capture the Maratha king and end a decade-long nightmare that had ruined his reputation. But as Mughal soldiers swarmed the complex and raised their flag, they found completely empty walls. Under the cover of darkness, Rajaram and his core command had slipped right through the siege lines and safely returned to Maharashtra. The Mughals had spent nearly a decade bleeding their men and resources to capture a pile of stone. Without capturing the king, the entire 9-year operation was completely worthless. This chart tracks the slow, inevitable emptying of the imperial treasury. For 9 years, Aurangzeb funded a stranded, immobile army, effectively bleeding the empire's wealth into the mountains of the south. While the emperor was obsessively focused on a single fort in the south, the Marathas used those 9 years to unify their fractured ranks and reclaim their lost territories in the north. Aurangzeb got his fortress, but the exhaustion, bankruptcy, and broken morale inflicted by those rocks at Gingee initiated the total collapse of the Mughal Empire. Gingee stands as a testament to defensive genius, a stronghold designed to stall the most powerful army on Earth until it finally collapsed under its own weight.